Hi, I'm Ollie Hayes and you're watching The Fan Carpet, and sadly it is the closing night of the 56th annual BFI London Film Festival, but we're going out on a high with the premiere tonight, The Great Expectations. We'll be chatting to some of the cast and crew tonight. Let's take a look. For those who are unfamiliar with the story, could you tell us a little about your character?
My character is called Bentley Drummle. He is one of the villains of the piece. He's Pip's greatest rival in terms of Estelle and their relationship, and he essentially takes an immediate disliking to Pip, and throughout the film tries to get in his way and ruin his life, and ends up, well, I don't want to ruin the film, but ends up, you know, getting in the way. That a bit of a love triangle is created with him, Pip and Estelle, played by Holliday and Jeremy. Yeah.
And so how did Mike sell you the idea? What was it about his vision that, obviously it's a familiar story, that sold you, that made you realise you had to be a part of this?
Well, I think it was just knowing that they were doing this book. This is one of my favourite books of all time, because I studied it at school and I loved the story, and I loved Dickens and loved the writing. So as soon as I heard that they were making the film, I just wanted to be a part of it. And then when I heard that Mike Newell was directing it, because I was a huge fan of his work and his films, and in terms of, I think he's kind of made a name for himself in like an iconic figure in certain in the British film industry. Yeah. It was a no-brainer. He didn't have to sell it to me, just for the record. He didn't have to sell it to me. I had to sell myself to him. And luckily I did, and I managed to persuade him that we both had the same vision for the character and what this character was going to be.
Okay, and it's obviously, it's well-trodden territory in terms of, we've seen plenty of adaptations over the years. Did you, in terms of kind of looking back on previous versions, did you kind of draw on anything, or did you want to kind of take your own journey with it as a character?
I made sure I didn't watch any of the other films, because I just thought this has to be a new character. This can't be, I can't interpret whatever other people have done in adaptations. But I knew that what Mike and I both agreed on, which I think why I got the part, is I said the key about Bentley Drummle is, because he's a bad guy, he doesn't think he's the bad guy, which sounds like a very easy thing to say, like quite straightforward, but actually if you think about it, when you play a bad guy, you just have to realise that he thinks everything he's doing is completely right, and in his world, in his life, Pip comes in and he's the bad guy. So Mike and I both agreed on that, and then I guess we went from there and trying to make this guy a three-dimensional character, not just a one-dimensional arsehole, basically, which hopefully I think we did. But he's still an arsehole. I'm sure he is an arsehole.
Bit of one, but he's a nice guy, essentially.
Okay.
And did you bond much with the younger actor who plays your character? Did you kind of chat? Was there any meetings, or did you...
Yeah, well, we did some rehearsings, and we also did a lot of dance rehearsals. So Jeremy and Holliday and I, we did a lot of dance rehearsals with a great a kind of choreographer, and during those rehearsals with Mike and with the dancing, we got to know each other quite well, and they're great people. Yeah. The young characters, there was a lot of pressure on, especially people like Jeremy and Holliday pull it off, but I think they were great leading actors on a film. They did a great job.
For those who are unfamiliar with the story, could you tell us a little bit about your character?
Yes, I play a character called Wemmick, and Wemmick is the clerk of this lawyer called Jaggers, who's very powerful, kind of monstrously feared lawyer in London. When Great Expectations is set, and I kind of have to provide this sort of buffer zone between him as this king of London and the rest of the world, who really all want a piece of him, and they all fear him, and they all kind of they all need him. All of London's kind of unfortunates need him, and I also provide some benevolent guidance to Jeremy Irvine's character Pip, and I attempt to help him through this very dangerous, difficult voyage that he's on through London, and he's trying to navigate these two different worlds. And I tried to give him some guidance and take him under my wing and help him make his getaway as well. So. Okay.
And obviously, I was going to say, obviously you probably didn't need much persuasion to take this role, but what was it about Mike's vision that kind of made you realise you had to be a part of this? Because it's a well-trodden territory, the story. So.
Yeah, well, it wasn't so much about his vision; it was more about his legacy in a way. He's a filmmaker who's made so many diverse films and television programs for so many decades that it's a real privilege for an actor like me who's made a few films to get to work with somebody who's still in the game at that point and has had a chance to make all their mistakes decades ago. You know, most filmmakers I get to work with are on their first few films. You know, they're on their, and those poor guys, it's so hard to get a film off the ground. Those poor guys, they have to spend a lot of energy making out to everybody, putting in front of everybody that they know what they're doing, and you know, that's kind of not how it really is a lot of the time. It's all right to sort of make mistakes, but you know, filmmakers in general don't get a lot of chances to do it, and so to get to work with somebody who's totally in his stride, who's got nothing to prove, and has got mastery over, you know, so many genres and gets great results from the actors that he works with, and gets, you know, of course, you know, like it's a great chance. Yeah.
I mean, it's taken years. I started about 3 or 4 years ago. You always have to make these terrible decisions about what you're going to keep and what you're going to lose, and hope that you make the right decisions. But I wanted it to be passionate and emotional, but to work as a love story, and that was always the plan. Yeah, it's my favourite novel. It always has been.
What is the kind of trickiest aspect of adapting this? I mean, how much free rein do you get as a writer, and how closely can you stick to this?
It's pretty faithful. Most of the dialogue is from the original. We've made some shortcuts with the story, but I think we've tried to fit in more than perhaps all the previous versions. We've tried to be a little more faithful with the twists and turns of the plot, but also to find time for the more humane scenes, the emotional scenes between the characters.
And obviously, I mean, why do you think maybe it is that out of Dickens' stories, Great Expectations is a story that is timeless? And that audiences in 2012 can appreciate it?
I think it's his greatest book. I think it has a great deal of focus. You know, it's about this character and this character's journey and how they change. So it has almost the feel of a feature film, even when you read it as a novel. You know, it has 3 acts. You meet this character, something happens to him, and you follow him on this journey. I think there's something very filmic about that.
And did you draw on kind of previous incarnations? Obviously, David Lean, famously.
I was aware of those. I watched a little bit of the Lean when I was trying to decide whether or not to do it, and I decided that there was more to be said. But apart from that, I've always drawn everything as much as I can from the book.
First of all, congratulations on a fantastic festival so far. How does it feel now it's over? Is it overwhelmed by the whole thing?
It's not quite over yet. We've got more than one film to go, in fact, because there's a number of screenings on simultaneously tonight. But you know, it won't be over until the last projector is turned off.
And to have Great Expectations close, what was the decision behind that to close with this film?
Well, it's a visually ravishing and really immediate kind of adaptation of the Dickens novel, and it seemed really appropriate in a year when we've been celebrating the bicentenary of Dickens to have a great British film like this close the festival. And I think it's been terrific as well to have a festival that's been bracketed by films, one directed by Tim Burton, one starring Helena Bonham Carter, and both of them having been awarded BFI fellowships last night.
Okay. And kind of personally for you, what have been the highlights for you? What have you managed to see that you were a big fan of?
Well, I have to say that last night's surprise film screening of Silver Linings Playbook was a total highlight, given that the audience had no concept of what they were about to see, and at the end of the screening we brought David O. Russell and Bradley Cooper out on stage to rather a loud response from the audience, I can assure you. So that was pretty thrilling, but there have been some amazing moments. I think having the Rolling Stones backstage trying to get out the fire escape instead of going on stage was pretty fun. It was also terrific to have Bill Murray driving up in a vintage car for the premiere of Hyde Park on Hudson. Helen Hunt and John Hawkes here for the sessions, and then some really beautiful discovery moments as well, like having Rama Burstein here for Fill the Void, which played in official competition, and Haifa Al Mansour here for Wajda.